morning, noon, evening or night, depending when you're watching this video. My name is Legend and welcome back to World of Tanks and the Look Back At series, where today we are going to take a look back at Pumpkin Bash. So this is still during my World of Tanks break. I still wanted to make some game related content with commentary, but so far I don't really miss the game, so yeah. A month into my hiatus and no willingness to return doesn't forebode well on behalf for my comeback towards World of Tanks. But maybe it changes as I continue to keep the connection up with these videos. But this isn't an update video, so let's take a look forward towards this Halloween game mode of 2022. So I was very disappointed that Mirny didn't continue in 2022. Instead we got Pumpkin Bash, which I thought could never live up to the standards that Mirny created. And well, it didn't. But we get Mirny soon, in a couple of months, and the game mode Pumpkin Bash itself was actually quite fun. It has several interesting elements like respawning and the nighttime battles, but let's take a closer look to all that this game mode had to offer. The matchmaking. So the matchmaking was quite simple, tier 6 to 8 vehicles in a single tier setup. If 15 versus 15 didn't work, instead of combining the tiers, the teams will get smaller, going more towards a 10 versus 10 or a 7 versus 7 format. I find the tier range quite interesting, because most of the time you will get these modes which ranges from tier 8 to 10. Having it lowered down makes it way more accessible towards newer players. But since you have a single tier setup in the first place, why not also include tier 9 and 10? Too little amount of players for that? That is probably the case, given how popular the game is these days, but still I would like to see more tier differentiation if possible. I mean, you got the other optional matchmaking formats of lowering the team sizes. Another very important element with the matchmaker was that wheeled vehicles got a separate matchmaking, where they could only meet each other. This probably alleviated a lot of frustrations if you had those things speeding around faster and with more devastating ammunition. So a great choice to separate those wheeled vehicles, but it once again shows how broken these tank types are. Victory conditions. In this game mode you had two victory conditions, which are slightly different to the regular battles. Instead of capturing the enemy base, you need to capture two neutral bases. This creates a more interesting tactical situation in which each team needs to access how to coordinate when they either lost or gained a base by capture. However, there were some times that my teammates paid zero attention to that and let both of the bases easily get captured. The other condition was, instead of killing all the enemies, you, as a team, need to deal more than the enemy team before the battle ends. This win con is perfect for a mode where you have respawn mechanics. However, it does create quite a difference if one team is more proficient with their abilities and jack-o-latern bonuses. Speaking of which, combat abilities. In the game mode you have two different types of abilities, active and passive types. Within those you had 5 active abilities and 4 passive abilities. The active ones works like consumables that you can activate after a cooldown, and the passive ones, which works similar like food, works immediately in the background from the moment the battle starts. Now, the abilities themselves are quite standard, and we have seen versions of them before, like the shield, the dash, the recovery, the health boost, the reload time boost and gun handling boost. But you also had abilities in which your next shell would do something special. Either they would set the enemy on fire instantly, or destroy the tracks and gun upon penetration. Lastly, you get the enhanced controlled impact ability, which increases damage from your ramming and protects your vehicle fully from ramming. This, in combination with the dash, created a KV5 ramming meta for a short while, which sounds funnier than it was, because I don't have a KV5, but if the meta of the game mode is a KV5 ramming meta, then well, I don't really need to complain. It isn't like the competitive field where either wheeled vehicles or the chieftains are the meta. From my experience, I would say that either the fire shot or decay was quite handy to have, and the enchanted armor as well, even if the enchanted armor was only for that ram protection against those pesky KV5s. As the third skill, you could pick your most favorable one. It didn't really matter that much, it was quite well balanced. The jack-o'-lanterns. Besides the abilities, you could also pick a bonus from jack-o'-lanterns that randomly spawn in the middle of the map and gives you random bonuses if you manage to capture one of those. These bonuses were either double the damage of your shells, 15% increase rate of fire, and basically the fire shot and decay ability as permanent active bonuses for every shell you fired, having the bonus in question. Especially those last two were insane if you are able to have them for a while. Instant fire or track plus gun with every shell is ridiculous. However, a balancing feature of that bonus was that for the while you have it, you were permanently marked on the map, so enemies know exactly where you are at all times. However, if you could get into a very concealed position, for example the enclave of the middle road on Runeberg, you can get a lot of use since you are very hard to push out of that position. Only a well-coordinated attack of multiple vehicles would mean your demise, and with that, the vehicle that killed you would inherit the bonus you had. Despite being quite broken and game deciding, at least both teams have equal chances to get it, and it is so much fun when you have it and scorch every enemy that is driving through the open or comes near you. The maps. So the battles of this game mode took place on 4 maps: Moravanka, Studzianki, Pilsen and Runeberg. However, it was set during the night with several spooky elements to really sell that Halloween vibe. I love this edition. I think with all of the Halloween game modes so far, the map design and special features within, mostly done with remaking existing maps a bit, have been one of the best selling points. Just amazing atmosphere, pretty much all the time. And the addition of the moving jack-o'-lanterns is just one of those examples of the just funny little details that I appreciate. Balance, however, I think it was alright, but the more solid cover city-like the maps are, like Pilsen and Runeberg, the more difficult it became to regain the score if you are lagging behind, because of that cover where the jack-o'-lantern boosted tanks can hide more easily. But at no point there was a blatant imbalance that would make one team invincible over the other. Progression and rewards. So the event was split into 5 stages, each covering a 3-day period. The missions for each stage were easily completed in one session if you had some good battles, which made for a very enjoyable balance between playing a bit, but not too much, in order to complete every mission. I think the fact that each stage only took 3 days meant that Wargaming needed to make the missions doable if some players were having a day of or multiple days away from World of Tanks. I really like this progression, but above that, the game mode was still enjoyable enough that I played some additional battles, even though I had my missions for that stage done. The rewards were some special 2D styles, decals, and a full crew member team of the 4 witches and their cat, which combined all in one tank gave them special crew voices of all the 5 individual crew members, which was a fun new addition to put into the game. The crew themselves wasn't even that bad, with 2 instant skills per member. But there's more than just some voice lines and skill that this crew offers, because a story around them was written. So I love when Wargaming puts some backstory in the game, expanding the lore. However, lore-wise, nothing really special happens, unlike in Mirny. The story basically goes something like a team of 4 witches and their cat are preparing for the next Halloween event, and from their realm they know of every single game mode through portals. They can also travel through that portals to join a game mode. However, the tank slipped and destroyed the portal, sending them through the multiverse of World of Tanks game modes. Although in the end they made it to the correct place, they are now separated. And the cat can now talk. It is interesting to see some characters that eventually can become crews somewhat fleshed out, however they are quite basic archetypes of characters. We got the obvious leader, the Harley Quinn, Jinx-esque Mad Lad, Mad Chick. I mean, look at the modeling, those 2 are basically the same. The conservative, responsible one, and the tech-savvy know-it-all. Also, this story isn't really adding to the official World of Tanks lore, but it's more of a parody to it, like they do sometimes with the video teasers around the holiday ops, including things like the Last Waffenträger tank and the Immortal within those videos. But I do like the tiny bit of recognition for a World of Tanks multiverse that was displayed through the portals. Maybe this is a good foreboding for the upcoming Mirny event, lore-wise, I hope. And maybe Wargaming decides to do more with this multiverse, because the whole connected universe hype hasn't really died out yet, although we're coming to the end of that hype, I think. But maybe they will still do it, I don't know. So in conclusion, like most of the fun modes, it was a blast to play and experience it. We see the night maps make a return into the last recon mission, so Wargaming is already planning more with that. Furthermore, I don't really have many issues, maybe some more attention when implementing more fleshed out characters or expanding the lore, and maybe for this type of game mode where you can get insane boosters, don't do those on city maps, because it's hard to regain that boost from the enemy team. But mostly I am curious which other element from this game mode Wargaming is intending to use in the future. Does it beat Mirny? Definitely not. I am looking way more forwards towards that in a couple of months, but it was fun and better than expected after my disappointment that Mirny didn't continue for that year. So that has been the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Laters!